We have all heard of Atlantis, the legendary island that sank into the sea in a single day. But what is the real story behind it? Was Atlantis a real place? Where was it situated? In this video, we are going to answer these questions and even more. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. What is the legend of Atlantis? The lost city of Atlantis is a popular and interesting sea legend. It is believed to be a mythical island that was first mentioned in the writings of the Greek philosopher Plato. Plato was well known for speaking the truth about the human condition at the time. All his works were realistic and practical. Because of this, some people believe that the legend of Atlantis is true, even 2,500 years after the death of Plato. The story of Atlantis is said to have begun around 360 BC. It is said to have been a utopian civilization that was founded by half god and half man. It was a great maritime power. The island was made up of several concentric islands that were divided by moats and connected by a canal. The islands were rich in gold, silver, and other valuable metals. The island was home to some of the world's rarest wildlife. The main city of Atlantis was located in the middle of the island, and it is said that the city was destroyed by a massive earthquake, volcano, or tsunami. According to Plato, Atlantis existed about 9,000 years before his birth and was passed down through the generations. Today, the only source of information on Atlantis is written down by Plato. Where is it situated? The lost city of Atlantis is a legend that has been around for centuries. We know that the city sank into the sea due to an earthquake or a tsunami. We also know that the city was rich and luxurious. What we don't know is where exactly the city was or is located. There are many theories about where the city was located. Some say it was in the Mediterranean. Others say it was off the Spanish coast. Some say it is located under what we know as Antarctica, and others say it is located in the Atlantic. Several places, such as Azores, have been believed to be the place of Atlantis for centuries. The most accepted statement about the location is that the city is located between Spain and Morocco, in a region known as Cadiz. How big was Atlantis? One of the greatest mysteries at sea is Atlantis, and it has captured the hearts of people all around the globe. As mentioned earlier, the only information we have on Atlantis is what Plato wrote. Some of the questions have already been answered, while others have yet to be answered. For instance, we know about how the city came to be known to man, but we don't know where it is or how big it is. According to Plato's writings dating back thousands of years, Atlantis is an island that is bigger than the sum of Africa, Europe, and Asia. If we look at the geography of the world today, it's hard to believe that Atlantis could possibly be bigger than what we know today, Libya, Asia, and Europe combined. Some people who think that Atlantis is located in the Mediterranean believe that the island is bigger than Crete, the largest island in Greece. Even though some people describe Atlantis as a giant city, the exact size of the Atlantis is not accurately known to anyone. How was Atlantis built? According to mythology, the city of Atlantis was built by the god Poseidon, who is also known as the god of sea, storm, and earthquake. He built the city because he was in love with the woman Cleito, who is a mortal. The city of Atlantis is built on a hill on a sea basin, and the island was completely isolated. It is said that Poseidon built it for Cleito's protection. It is also said that before he built Atlantis, Poseidon traveled all over the world to find the largest island in the world. When he arrived at Atlantis, the biggest island in the world, he found that the inhabitants of Atlantis were more beautiful and more intelligent than the other inhabitants of the world. It was on Atlantis that Poseidon met Cleito, who later became his wife and gave birth to his children, the Palace of Captivity. Poseidon built the city of Atlantis for Cleito, the woman he fell in love with and married, and we all know that. But what we don't know is that the city is said to be made up of many rings of water and land. There were 5 rings of water and 5 tunnels that connected the water to land. There was a huge canal that connected the rings of water with the ocean. The tunnels were said to be so big that they could easily accommodate ships. All roads leading to the city were guarded. Gates and towers were built to protect the city. The city's rings of water were surrounded by high walls. The walls were said to be made of red stone, white stone, and black stone, and they were also decorated with precious metal and stones. It is believed that Poseidon captivated his wife, Cleito, on the hill, which was heavily guarded and encircled by towering columns and vast ditches. Some philosophers believe that Poseidon did all this because he did not believe Cleito would be faithful to him. The statue of Poseidon. Poseidon and Cleito produced 5 twin sons after the marriage. Of Poseidon and Cleito's 10 sons, the oldest was named Atlas. He later became the first ruler of Atlantis. According to legend, he built a temple and a giant statue of his father Poseidon in the city. The statue was made entirely of gold. It depicted Poseidon in a chariot with winged horses carrying him. The temple was adorned with spirals that reached the clouds. The statue was placed at the top of the temple, symbolizing the wealth and splendor of the ancient city of Atlantis, which may have once been a reality. The glory of Atlantis. The city Poseidon built for his wife was one of a kind. The huge Poseidon statue of gold showed the wealth of the city. The city was inhabited by half god and half human beings. The city was very fertile and very beautiful. The city is believed to have been self-sufficient, and the people raised animals and grew their own food. The farmers grew crops on the fertile plains, and there was an irrigation system that was very advanced and well-maintained. The architecture of the city was also excellent. Beautiful buildings were built with black and red stones, as well as other precious stones and metals. The people had access to some of the rarest metals and alloys like brass. They used crystals a lot for various purposes, such as experiments or even for leisure. The city was an architectural and mythological wonder, and it is indeed correct to describe it as a utopian world. Beliefs about Atlantis. The legend of Atlantis was so popular that people would go on expeditions to find it. Although it was never found, many people still believe it exists despite geographical theories to the contrary. According to researcher Edgar Casehead, the lost city will rise as the sun rises in the form of a new land. He believes the souls of the inhabitants of Atlantis will bring a new age of enlightenment for human awareness. Some stories say that the inhabitants of Atlantis were extraterrestrial in origin and came to Earth around 50,000 years ago. They were much taller and more beautiful than the Earth's original inhabitants. They could have lived for as long as 800 years. Simply put, there was a far more powerful and enduring form of humanity. Some people also believe that the lost city of Atlantis exists on Mars. It could also be a colony of an extraterrestrial civilization. The inhabitants of Atlantis possessed extraordinary powers and abilities, such as weather control, volcanic eruption control, and the ability to channel energy from space and time. However, this could be a myth to justify the lavishness and luxurious lifestyle of the inhabitants of Atlantis. Historians and archaeologists have offered many theories about the lost city over the years, but we have no proof to support any of them. Many authors have attempted to explain their ideas about Atlantis in their works. There have also been many movies based on Atlantis and what happened to the lost city after it sank or disappeared. The most popular theory is that the city was destroyed by a natural disaster, such as a tsunami, volcanic eruption, or earthquake. Was Atlantis real? Plato was a writer who was known for his realistic and practical style. This is why, when he wrote about this lost city of Atlantis, people believed it to be true. Some people say they have some explanation for this legend. However, none of these explanations have been proven or accepted yet. One explorer has mentioned about the huge volcanic eruption that happened in the past on an island of Greece, which is quite similar to the one mentioned in the legends of Atlantis. He also said that he studied about an ancient civilization living on that island that was very advanced and very forward of its time, which is also very similar to the Atlantis story. Another explorer said that an island, or more like a continent, used to exist in the past, but later vanished in the exact place that Plato gave as a location of Atlantis. Some researchers like these claims and believe that Atlantis was indeed a real city. What may have happened to Atlantis? There are many theories as to how Atlantis came to exist and where it might be located. There are also many theories as to what might have happened to the city if it did exist. According to some theories, the city was destroyed by a natural disaster, such as an earthquake, tsunami, or volcanic eruption, which caused the city to sink beneath the sea. According to other theories, the inhabitants of Atlantis were highly intelligent and lived in a utopia. However, they soon grew greedy and lost the common human values. The gods were angry and punished the inhabitants of Atlantis for their greed and greediness. According to one theory, the gods destroyed the city with a night of fire and earthquake known as the One Terrible Night of Fire and Earthquakes. Despite all these theories, we still know very little about the legendary city of Atlantis, its location, how and why it was destroyed, and even if it existed in the first place. The fate of the lost city of Atlantis remains mysterious till today. Speaking of mysteries and theories, discover the great mysteries hidden in famous paintings by clicking on this video. Thank you for watching the video, and if you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.